to be live in 5 seconds. Do you copy?
Copy.
Yeah, thank you. We are live.
A very good afternoon to you wherever you may be watching on Bar TV as we are gearing up for a round 8 clash here in the Canberra Raiders Cup, the Osbreakers Canberra Raiders Cup for season 2018. And got to tell you, it is cold here in the nation's capital this afternoon. It is absolutely freezing, but the rugby league this afternoon, it will be hot. It is always hot when you get these two sides up against each other, because this afternoon it is the Belconnen derby. It is the Belconnen United Sharks up against the West Belconnen Warriors. It's been pretty slim pickings for the Belconnen United Sharks in recent times, but their last win was one for the ages. One to remember, it was against the West Belconnen Warriors, and it was at the Raiders Club in Belconnen at Kippax. And it was one to remember for this Belconnen United Sharks side. They picked up that victory, 34 points to 20, but they have not been on the right side of the ledger since then through the remainder of last season and the start of this season. But, as we saw last year, anything can happen when these sides come up against each other. My name is Chris Coleman. It is nice to have your company this afternoon, wherever you may be. And if you're in and around the nation's capital and you've decided, A, not to brave the cold weather, and B, not to brave the massive amount of roadworks happening up and down Northbourne Avenue to get to O'Connor Oval this afternoon, I've got to say, quite frankly, I don't blame you. It was not a lot of fun getting to the ground this afternoon, and it is a little bit chilly here, but it is nice to see plenty of the support has turned up for this game. You won't see a lot of them on camera because the facilities on this ground are largely on the western side of the oval, and that is where we and indeed our cameras are situated. Now, I've managed to activate the weather station, which is rather conveniently still reflecting the last Raiders game I called, which was the Mudgee game. We don't really need to know what the weather is doing in Mudgee, but we can tell you now that in O'Connor, I will happily dispute this. It says it is currently 11.4 degrees with the wind coming out of the south directly from the South Pole at 28 kilometres an hour on average and gusting up to 32 kilometres an hour, which basically means it is windy and it is not stopping. It is just windy all the time. The wind is blowing fairly strongly from, on your screen, right to left. I'm not sure who's going to be going in that direction in the first half, but they will have a considerable advantage, you would think. Although in the lower grade games, we didn't see anyone taking much advantage of those windy conditions with the wind blowing, as I said, from right to left. 11.4, the wind chill factor officially makes it feel like 8.5. If it feels like 8.5, then I can tell you I am Santa Claus, because it is absolutely freezing. As always, when we are here at O'Connor Enclosed Oval, we are calling Frank Hyde style. It's from the card table on the sideline. The camera is actually mounted on an elevated platform, so you're getting the best view possible via the camera here on Bar TV, and you can see the West Belconnen Warriors coming out onto the field now. A couple of reps in the New South Wales under-23 side that'll be touring Papua New Guinea later on this year. Riley McQueen, the halfback, the number 7, Ryan McQueen. I think I said Ryan McQueen, the halfback for West Belconnen, and also Riley Thomas, the centre in number 4, chosen to represent New South Wales country under-23s on a tour of Papua New Guinea later on this year. These sides, they are at opposite ends of the table. The West Belconnen Warriors, they currently sit in third, or that is only on points differential, that they sit in third place on the competition table. They are on equal competition points with the two teams above them. Belconnen United yet to win a game, as I said, so they are currently ninth with a points differential of minus 138. We are just about ready for this afternoon's action to get underway, and it will be West Belconnen to kick off there in the darker blue side, the darker blue outfit, and the Belconnen United Sharks are in the predominantly black jerseys this season. And we are away, and I think that's Jordan Crane who's taken the kickoff and gets it out to, let's see if we can work this out. That'll be about his own 25. It's going to be a bit hard for us to pick up, as I said. We are at ground level, right on halfway here at O'Connor Oval. Takes a little minute or two to really get our bearings. That to me looked like Logan Reese in a dummy half with the headgear on, and indeed running through it was indeed Reese as they go across to the right, the Sharks. So they've made it up to the halfway line early in the tackle count here, so a good start from them. That's McCaskill. captain and wearing number 17. Starting though, wearing the 17 jersey. Jack Elliott in 8 now takes it forward, and they're about 10 metres into opposition territory. Kick to come here, and high balls will be the order of the day. Now that's Toby Westcott with the kick. We'll talk a little bit about him, and has been put down by Jackson Duffy. Went back for mine, but the referee says there's been a knock on. And that means that the Belconnen United Sharks will get the first real attacking advantage here. Now I mentioned Toby Westcott for the Sharks there in the number 7 jersey. He is on debut, not just for the Belconnen United Sharks, but his debut in this Canberra Raiders Cup competition. He's moved to Canberra recently. He's part of the Canberra Raiders under-20s program, and great to see him out there. And if he's worked out that win behind him is going to make the high ball very difficult, then it's going to be not much fun for the outside backs and the fullback for the West Belconnen Warriors. And Jackson Duffy already struggling under that first high ball of the day. Now, am I imagining it, or did we actually kick off before 3 o'clock? I think we may have snuck in a kick-off before 3 o'clock. You see something new at local footy every week, especially here on Bar TV. So what have we got from the Sharkies? Well, that's the big man Tino Sione, and he's really making his presence felt. He's managed to get it off to his brother BJ. So the Sione boys, BJ in 11 and Tione in 18. And that is really a twin threat. If they can get themselves together, they'll make life very difficult for this West Belconnen Warriors side. That was a good little ball from Toby Westcott again. Been impressed with him. I think he's only touched the ball 3 times, and all 3 times they've really made use of it. Let's see what he can do this time. He puts a kick through for his own advantage. Now back in the in-goal area, it's Duffy for West Belconnen. Has he got back into the field of play, or has he been trapped on the other side of the line? I think he's been trapped on the other side of the line. Now this will be an interesting exercise, because it'll be a line dropout for the Warriors into a 30 kilometre an hour wind. That I suspect that 30 kilometres an hour, I reckon that's being measured at the airport. I think over this side of town it's considerably stronger. Let's see what they can do with it. I note there is nobody on the other side of halfway. Low trajectory kick into the wind. And a good take. So they give it to Jack Elliott. Elliott makes 10, make that 20. So he's 30 out from the line. And they come across to the right. At speed there was BJ Sione. Had his brother on his outside, but was never going to pass it. He was still going, and going strong. That would be the 20-metre line that he's just got over, I would reckon. Reese finds McCaskill. It's a smart play from the Sharks at the moment, making sure they hang on to the ball, because the longer you hang on to the ball, as you know, the more tired the opposition gets. And a good ball from Tino Sione, but it was just too fast. Too fast for Jordan Crane on the outside. The ball goes into touch, and so, well, that's always the way, isn't it? You give a side a wrap, and then something goes wrong. So it'll be a scrum for the West Belconnen Warriors, and they'll be looking forward to this. It'll be the first time they'll actually get their hands on the ball. It's been nothing but it's been nothing but the Belconnen United Sharks. Sorry, if you're wondering why I'm laughing, my notes are blowing all over the place here, and Kane, our great announcer here at O'Connor, has just helped me out by pegging some stuff down for me. So thank you for your help, Kane. And got to say a big thank you too, by the way, to the Sharks who've thrown a shark scarf on me. I very rarely wear club gear at these games, but it is that cold today that I've kept it, I've donned it on to keep myself warm. So thank you to the Sharkies for that one. I will maintain the possession with pride, unlike West Belconnen who've just put it down there. Jackson Duffy is having a horror day. Puts a high ball down and then a pass. I will say, to be fair to him, it was a pretty ordinary pass. It wasn't the world's best pass. He's had to reach a long way for it and put it down. And so after, I reckon, 3 tackles, West Belconnen have handed it back over, and it'll be the Sharkies once again. They've got to use the ball here. They've got to really start to make the West Belconnen side pay. But they've got the scrum. They're in a good position. Centre field, as you can see, around 30 metres out and through the hands. And they give it to Jason Brown. Brown, for his first run, does well. He's up to the 20 now. They keep going across to the left. And that's Tino Sione. He doesn't go for the bullet pass on his outside this time, just hangs on to it. That's only 2 tackles. Come back across to the right. Westcott again. Run around play. Finds BJ Sione. Taking a couple of metres out. You can see the post in the background. They come across to the right. Westcott again. Gee, he's got good hands. Finds Butts. Butts, and he's got the ball on the outside there, and it's very close to a try for McDonald. I reckon he's just short. He is just short. They give it to Greenwood, the ex-West Belconnen Warrior. He was going at pace and towards the line. This will be the last tackle, I think, coming up. It is indeed. Just making sure the count was right. They come across. The kick goes across field from Westcott. Getting underneath it is Butts, but it's been taken away. Not Butts, it's Crane rather, but taken away on the wind there. And it all comes to nothing, and it'll come back out to the 20 for a restart for the West Belconnen Warriors. This Toby Westcott, he's added some excitement to this Belconnen United Sharks side early. As mentioned earlier, it's his debut in the Canberra Raiders Cup, and he's involved in the Canberra Raider under-20 side. Had it said to me before the game that the Sharks, they have been struggling a wee bit in the halves, so looks like he has so far made a difference. But this time it's the West Belconnen Warriors who get a relieving penalty, and that's come early in a 7-tackle set. They'd only had the 0 tackle. Get out to the 40-metre line, and now it's Ryan McQueen who... a bit of an optimistic touch finder. It does get there. Only makes about 18 metres, but they are into attacking territory, this West Belconnen Warriors side, and something we've seen about them already this season on numerous occasions. You can't afford to give them field position, because if you do, you really are going to make it very hard. They can spread the ball very, very wide and very, very quickly on multiple occasions. That was Mitch Shaw in there in the 10 jersey for the West Belconnen Warriors. Now they come across to the right, spin it back around, so that was good play from McQueen. But is there a forward pass in there? There is a forward pass in there. And so the West Belconnen Warriors, well, they've let them, they've been allowed to, they've allowed the Sharks to wriggle out of the net. And it'll be the Sharks again to feed a scrum. There was a game earlier this year we had on Bar TV between West Belconnen and Tuggeranong. Was down at Greenway. And... I may be wrong on this. Troy Thompson, the Belconnen, the West Bel coach, came to me after the game and we were having a bit of chat about things. They got away with the win. They picked up the 2 competition points, but he said without checking the stats sheet, he didn't think they completed a single set in the first half of that game earlier this year. I will not say that that game was much of a spectacle to watch, other than to see how a side that had painted itself into a corner all afternoon still managed to get away with the points. And thus far, my memory serves, West Belconnen yet to complete a set this afternoon against their local Derby neighbours. That was Shannon McCaskill again. Now, he got a little offload in there. Didn't get any further, did Reese, but it was good to see the offload. And now, once again, Westcott goes high. Over the far side of the ground. I think that might be Salvestrin who's taken that one for West Belconnen. There's a story about him as well. Will Salvestrin. Close followers of the Canberra Raiders competition. I'll come back to the story about Will Salvestrin, because we've got the Warriors on a bit of a break at the moment. They're about 12 short of halfway, and they are now spread out right across the field. This is where they are a very dangerous side, because we can see them go quickly across the field and across the field and across the field. It was Shaw, I think, in the bottom of the pile. As I've said before, we are at ground level, and it does make picking up the players a little bit interesting at times, because there is a sea of legs, and that's all we can see at various stages. This is Joe Roberts, playing just his 3rd game for the Warriors this season in the Canberra Raiders Cup in first grade, because he's been playing in the Raiders SG ball competition. I know a lot of people at Kipax, home of the West Belconnen Warriors, have got a big rap on Joe Roberts, and a lot of good football brains have a rap on him as well. And what we've seen from him thus far, well, I think we've only really seen one possession. We'll wait and see how he goes for the remainder of the afternoon. That looked like Tomoko. It was Matt Tomoko taking the ball up for the Sharks, and they get up to the halfway line, and indeed over the halfway line now. The Sharks, well, they're doing what they need to do, which is not play it at their own end. They need to keep the ball in the other end of the field. And another one of the headgear boys, that's James Butts. So there's 3 players in headgear out there for the Sharkies. Kick goes downfield, and the Warriors getting away. I'm told there's 4 players out there in headgear for the Sharkies. So there we go. And we got at least 1 out there for the Warriors as well. And you can see him in there. That's Harry Brown in the white headgear, which has become a bit of a trademark for him over the course of the last couple of seasons. in the Ospreakers Canberra Raiders Cup. This is what I was talking about earlier with this West Belconnen side. Once they really do get on a roll, once they get set and get a little bit of possession, you see how fast they are at making moves up the ground. And again, there's Bailey Lockhead. He takes it another 10 metres into opposition territory. So really, he's a very dangerous player. This side's full of them. There's Ryan McQueen. He kicks into the corner, but that's James Butts, and he's able to get underneath it, takes it well. Now, can he get around the outside? Slightly high tackle there from Matt Kelly for mine, but it's okay. Butts is all right. Take a bit of time to get to his feet. Now he goes, puts it back to, I think it's Jordan Crane. Crane doesn't get too far. They need to move the ball sideways to get around this compressed West Belconnen defence, but unable to do it at the moment because the Warriors are up very, very quickly. They come back to the right now. They've got the two Sione boys. One of them took it up and then found an offload to a teammate, so they're about 10 short of halfway. Butts, and again Westcott with the kick. That's a pretty good kick. Now, is that a 40-20? Was he inside the 40 when he kicked that? He wasn't far from it. I'll just wait and see what the ref's call is on this. I'll just wait and see what we're seeing here. Certainly looked like he kicked it from inside the 40. Touch judge is standing just outside the 20, so it's a Warriors feed. So there we go. So it was, we'll call it a 40-21 because it's only just short. But with a wind like this at your back, why wouldn't you have a crack at that? So no score, 13 minutes in here at Connell Enclosed Oval. Big thank you to our friends at Bloomer's Personal Injury Lawyers getting on board and supporting local rugby league. Supporting local rugby league and local rugby league coverage. Of course, they're involved with the radio coverage I do on Mix as well, which is great to have them on board. And they are huge rugby league fans. And hello to all the team, Noor and Felix and everyone, and Amy, Phil. And to those I've missed out, my apologies, but great to have you on board for season 2018 on our Bar TV match day coverage here of the Canberra Raiders Cup. So the West Belconnen Warriors, well, they are being gifted ground by the Belconnen United Sharks. And as we've mentioned already on this coverage, you don't give them free meterage. You just don't do it because they're going to start this set inside opposition territory and they'll give it to the very dangerous Bailey Lockhead. Lockhead's scored a couple of tries this season. He's still going, bounces out of one tackle, bounces back into a second one, finally goes to ground, and he's actually only made about 2 metres this time. That's a rarity that he doesn't make too much ground, but here he goes, Harry Watman now. Harry Watman makes about 10 on that one, straight up the middle of the park. Which way are they going to go? They're going to go across to the right. That's Matt Kelly. That's a big hit. And a hard hit, and the referee, he's saying it's too high a hit as well. And he's also saying that the Sharks might have been up just a little bit too fast. So they tap and go this time, the Warriors. They're not going to muck around trying to find touch from the middle of the ground on a windy day like today. Just tap and go. Give it to Mitch Shaw. He takes it up the middle of the park. Dummy play from Roberts. Now it goes across to the left with Brown. Brown finds support on the outside. Warriors on their first really good attacking raid. Long ball goes across to Kelly. Kelly still going. Left upright, just in front of him. Gee, they're fast on these play the balls, this Warriors side. It's one of the reasons why they're so hard to stop. And that is Joe Roberts, I reckon. It is. Joe Roberts goes in under the post, and we are 14 minutes in, and we got the first try of the day.
First points to West Belconnen. Number 9, Joe Roberts. Warriors lead 4-0, the kick to come.
As you hear in the background, Joe Roberts with that first try, the Canberra Raiders SG ball player. And he's played plenty of first-grade footy over the past couple of years, and he scores the first try of the game. And we are but 14 minutes in. I did say you cannot afford to give this side free ground. It's just asking for trouble. It's dicing with rugby league death. And the end result, a 4-pointer. And what should be really a very easy conversion despite the wind. He's perfectly adjacent to the posts. And Matt Campbell hasn't missed too many this season. He's kicked 24. And that one he gives it plenty of height. And it's straight over the black dot.
Successful by number 5, Matt Campbell from the Warriors. They lead the Sharks 6 points to 0.
So it is 6-0 to the West Belconnen Warriors. This is going to be the real test now for the Sharks. They haven't had a lot of luck during the course of this season. They've also had a few sides really get a rolling against them. They've just got to pick up and say, right, we've got to score next. It's that simple. On the run. That's Watman, I think, for West Belconnen. They're going across to the left. Like I said, all I can see at the moment is a sea of legs. But I think we've got a little knock on in there. Ball has indeed gone forward in that tackle. So, after kicking off to restart play, the Belconnen United Sharks will get to feed the scrum. And I think, oh gee, it was Jackson Duffy who's knocked it on. So he's not having a trademark Jackson Duffy day. He has played in every game for the West Belconnen Warriors side this year. Although he is back at fullback this week, Duffy. They moved Ryan McQueen to fullback for their last start, which was a loss. And now Ryan McQueen's back in the 7 jersey and Jackson Duffy back at fullback. So, what have the Sharks got? Well, they've got Matt Tomoko, still going as Matt Tomoko. That'll be about the 20-metre line, I reckon. You can see him on there. And they find on to BJ Sione. BJ Sione towards the line. Got options. Which way do they go? Well, they find Westcott. Westcott then gets the ball off to McCaskill. McCaskill right in front of the post. They've got options both ways. They go across to the right. Westcott steps back on his own inside. Now, can he turn it around? He had. Waiting for it was Reese. I think Reese was flat-footed, but there was a gap in front of him. If Westcott had been able to spot him, I don't think he did. He was instead wrapped up in the tackle. Reese comes into dummy half. Now that's Tino Sione. Sione puts a little kick through, and the ball, chasing after it and going down there was Crane, but I think it's been grounded over the dead ball line. Or has it been knocked dead by West Belconnen? Either way, I don't think Crane got a hand on it in the field of play, but there must have been some sort of West Belconnen influence on that ball to send it dead. And so it is going to be a line dropout from them. The first one we saw from Ryan McQueen was a low trajectory kick straight up the middle of the ground. It made about 48 metres. Second one is fairly similar before it's picked up by Channon McCaskill. He's over the 40, runs into a blue wall and brought to ground 35 out. Reese in at dummy half. On his outside has Elliott. Elliott still going, brought to ground now. And across to the left they continue. Once again, Tino Sione. He passes on to Jason Brown. Haven't seen a lot of Jason Brown this afternoon, but he gets a good few metres there. So they've got 4 tackles from about 10 out here. The Sharks. Westcott, long ball, finds McCaskill again. McCaskill continues the attack up the middle of the park. This Sharks side, they are looking much better than their ladder position belies. Now it's Sione to Sione, Tino to BJ. Last tackle. Oh, the ball's been left behind by Logan Reese at dummy half, and the referee says, yeah, that'll count as a knock-on as well. If not a knock-on, then a pretty ordinary play of the ball that deserves to be put into the Hall of Infamy, and the ball will go to the West Belconnen Warriors. Being the last tackle, we won't have to muck around with the scrum. We'll just get straight back on with a play the ball, and the Warriors will bring it out from their own line. And I think it might have been Watman in there again. It's a bit hard for me to tell. Like I said, no, it was actually Moa, Nella Moa. And now we've got the referee saying, can we go back and have another crack at that play the ball? Certainly, sir. I don't think the Warriors will be arguing too much. Harry Brown involved in the play. Puts it over to, is that Will Sylvestron? I think it might be. Puts a little kick forward. That's interesting that they've done that early in the tackle count. And then they've given the ball up. That was only on the second or third tackle, that little kick. I think unnecessary from a Warriors point of view. Touch judge not happy about it either. He's had to run 20 metres one way. He's had to turn around and go 20 metres back. It's shuttle run practice for him on a cold day. That's never fun. Jason Brown now has the ball for the Belconnen United Sharks. I promise, get to the Will Sylvestron story. We've got 60 minutes left in the game. I promise I'll get to it, even if it takes me to the second half to get there. Logan Reese. Little run of his own from dummy half. He's got Tomoko on his outside, but they go back to the inside. There's McCaskill in there. Found another little quick pass. It was Elliott he got it to. Now they come back across to the left, and this man's dangerous, Jordan Crane. And the West Belconnen Warriors know that he's dangerous. They had 3 covering him by the time the ball got to him. Westcott kicks it. Grubber goes through. In underneath the posts, it is Brown. Harry Brown has it and gets back into the field of play. Good work from him. Very difficult man to pin down, the little 5'8" of the West Belconnen Warriors. And Actually pinned down in the tackle, very nearly a penalty for mine, but the referee says no, just get up and play it, and I'm not going to argue. Let's just see if they can keep on with that. That would be McQueen. Duffy was on the play of the ball, in fact, so he just needs to get a couple of good possessions, does Jackson Duffy, to keep himself get himself back into the game. He really hasn't had the best first 20 minutes, but that's the great thing about rugby league. There's plenty of time to redeem yourself if it's a bit rough in those first 20. So they're on the way again, the West Belconnen Warriors, and they get up to about the halfway line now. And that would be the third tackle, I think, on this set. No, it's the last tackle. There we go. There's been a couple of quick ones in there. So Brown will have it. He will kick. And the kick has rebounded off a Sharks player, or has it come off his own player? It doesn't matter. It's going to be a Sharks ball. And again, apologies. During the course of the afternoon, there are going to be a few plays that we're not necessarily going to get a clear view of from our commentary spot, which is literally at ground level. There's actually quite a drop-off from the side of the playing field, and I reckon my feet would be 1.5 feet below ground level. So my head is about level with the knees of most players, so it's an interesting position to call from, but our cameras, as always, on Bar TV in the best seat in the house, or the best position in the house, and we bring that to you every week of this Ospreakers Canberra Raiders Cup season. Tino Sione finds Jason Brown. Brown's still going, and they're 10 metres into attacking territory. The Sharks have looked good until they get to about 10 metres out. They just don't seem to quite have the finishing options that they need at the moment against a side of the calibre of the West Belconnen Warriors. But if they could just find something in that final 10 metres of the red zone, as we see it go to BJ Sione, they could really put some pressure on. That man might be the man to do it. Westcott, they get around the outside. Ball goes to Vaughan, but he hasn't managed to get a grab on it. And Trent Vaughan puts it down. And it is, well, there's a knock on. And then it rolls over the sideline. So either way, it would have been a ball to the West Belconnen Warriors. So 23 gone, 6-0 here at O'Connor Enclosed Oval. Beautiful little suburban venue here in the nation's capital. As mentioned previously, it's on the, well, we're not far from the light rail construction route, the tram line being built here in the nation's capital. It does make it interesting for people in a lot of the Belconnen United catchment area to actually get to the game this afternoon. That's a penalty coming to the Warriors. It was Duffy who's drawn the penalty there. He saw a Sharks player was not back the regulation 10, and he's got away with it. And now there's will be another penalty for a high tackle. That was a desperation high tackle. So it was Thomas, Riley Thomas, had spotted that he could actually get away with a fast run. But unfortunately for the Sharks, the desperation, well, you've got to stop the bloke, haven't you? He's if the tackle hadn't been made, he was home. It's that simple. I'm not going to say there was any malice in it. It was just that where the contact was made was a wee bit high. So it's Riley Thomas. He'll take the tap off the penalty, and that's right on the 40-metre line. They go across to the left of the Warriors through Watman. Watman finds Shaw. And Mitch Shaw doesn't make too many metres. They're only about 15 into opposition territory. Now it's Harry Watman again with this West Belconnen Warriors side. We've seen them dangerous at times, and this man, I'm a huge rap for this guy, Bailey Lockhead. I think he played I think he was playing in the very first Canberra Raiders Cup game I ever called, which was last season. Well, actually, it was the first game I called in about 30 years. I'd called some Canberra Raiders Cup, or Group 8, as it used to be back in the day, back in the 80s or 90s, and now there's a late call for the ball going forward from the Warriors. I reckon the touch judge may have given the referee a little bit of an assistance there. Either way, the Sharks don't concede points, and they get to feed the scrum at their own end of the field. This is where you might just see them try to set for a 40-20 in this set, potentially at an early stage in the set. Riley Thomas went over to pick the ball up for West Belconnen Warriors, or at least made it look like he was going to go to pick the ball up. And then he said to Logan Reese, no, get it yourself. I don't think Reese was terribly impressed, just going from the body language. But he's in a dummy half. And the Sharks looking to get out of their own ground, picked up, slammed to the turf there. And they come across to the left. So that's the 40-metre line there. And I'm just wondering, let's see if we can keep an eye on Westcott. He's calling for the ball here. They've given it to him. He's going to go for it. Smart play. There's nobody back for West Belconnen, so they've got to chase. If this can turn right, it'll be a 40-20, and as it turned enough, it's just stopped. Oh, he used the wind beautifully, but the ball stopped. And the Warriors have come away with it from their own end of the ground, but they're in disarray at the moment. They've still got 3 or 4 players trying to get back on side. Oh, it was smart play by Westcott. Just the bounce of the ball that did him no favours. Now, is that Daniel Killick-Moran who's gone out there now? Might be. You might be able to hear the wind as well, as it really is picking up. If anything, it is stronger now than it has been at any stage of this afternoon. There's a couple of little black and white birds just trying to take off from the football ground to absolutely no success. They're going up and they're hovering. They cannot make any headway into the wind, so they're going to ground and they're actually walking into the wind. That's how strong this wind is. Now, the Warriors, they get away. I think that's McQueen. It is McQueen. Oh, he's dangerous. He's got on his outside Harry Brown. Brown, long ball. He was looking for Matt Campbell. Campbell, he's picked it up. They were very, very lucky. Well, there we go. McCaskill was struggling to get back on side, but didn't matter. Didn't have to get back on side because the ball almost went straight through to him. So the Sharks, well, they've been the beneficiary and the recipients of some lucky play this afternoon. And now, too many Warriors not back to 10. And the Sharks, they've got a chance to really make some ground here. So Westcott will have the penalty. He's going to have the touch finder. He's going to kick it from the 40. How far is he willing to go? Not terribly far. He's put it a long way into touch over on the other side of the ground. But he's gained them 15 metres, so they'll start on the opposition's territory. We've got Isaac Hamad in the game for the first time, and I think that's him in a dummy half now. It is. Goes for a little run himself. Then he offloads, finds Shannon McCaskill. McCaskill at 30 out. Now it's with Elliott. So the forward's doing the work here now for the Sharks. Now it's Tino Sione. He finds Butts, James Butts, about 10 out, maybe a little bit more. Hamad in a dummy half. Tino Sione. He gives it to Elliott. Jack Elliott. Wrapped up. Go high is the call. It comes to Tino Sione. His kick is too strong again. And we've lost 4 players into the bushes. It's almost like the baseball film Field of Dreams. The players go into the cornfield. Here they go into the bushes at the northern end of O'Connor Oval. Unlike Field of Dreams, though, the players return straight away. We don't have to wait for their demise and 60 years for their ghosts to come back. 11 and a half till the break, and just the one try this afternoon so far at O'Connor Enclosed Oval. And I've got to say, this has been one of the more entertaining games we've had so far this season. Hope you're enjoying it as much as we are here on Bar TV as the West Belconnen Warriors start to make a raid. Really big tackle, long tackle. That was on Thomas Riley. And now, what have we got here? A little bit of lost control, and so it's the Sharks who've got it. Now he's going to kick it towards our side of the ground. This will be interesting. There's really no difference between which way he goes. I think it's just that he was marginally closer to the camera side of the ground was Toby Westcott. Now they give it to Jason Brown. That was the 40-metre line the play the ball was on. So now encroaching on the 30, and we've got a hold up in play. We'll have a repeat play the ball. Hamad in at dummy half. Gives it to Tapula, Sonny Tapula. He wasn't in the starting 13, so hasn't been out there for long. And Brandon Nangati, who also wasn't in the starting 13. So they've been ringing the changes, have the Sharks. Across to the right they go. Now it's with Westcott. Long ball finds Vaughan. Vaughan, he's running the 2 or 3 or 4 Warriors over in that far corner. Keeps it in the field of play. Westcott again, and they just chip it across field. Little passes, little passes. Might have been McCaskill. It was McCaskill. Now Hamad gives it back to Westcott. Westcott kicks to himself. Now that's bounced back off a Warriors player. And indeed the Warriors have come up with it through Daniel Killick-Moran. This kicking game from Toby Westcott really has added some sort of dynamic to this Belconnen United Sharks attack. And it's going to be a very good side if they can prevent it from resulting in points for the whole afternoon. That was Nella Moa. Oh, big hit. Bounces out of it, does Bailey Lockhead, and then he pushes off another tackle. He's an impressive man. There's a very large black bird trying to make itself comfortable in our commentary position at the moment too, just quietly. And now the West Belconnen Warriors up over halfway with Dustin Litster. But there's a bit going on in back play here. Livingston Affa is the man with the, well, let's say the interesting hairstyle and the number 22 on his back. That's as far as I'll ever go, by the way, describing Livingston Affa with the interesting hairstyle. I think that's about as far as I'm game. He's a big boy. In fact, you got little and large there. You just look at that. I don't know whether it's in shot at the moment. I don't have a monitor here, but I'm assuming that it was in shot. Jacob Graham and the number 14 for West Belconnen, right next to Livingston Affa in the 22. Without double checking the stats, but Jacob Graham would be about the smallest player in this competition in first grade, I reckon. The number 14 for West Belconnen. And Livingston Affa is one of the bigger players. It's a penalty to West Belconnen after all that. So, what's Toby Westcott got? Well, he's managed to crib a couple of metres and he's put it right down in the corner. Now, how far's he put that? Well, they'll start play from the 10. And it'll be Hamad going across to the right. Get it across to McCaskill. He's been busy in the last 10 minutes as Channon McCaskill. Hamad, Westcott. On the inside to Nangati. Nangati now, quick little scurry from Hamad. Then he gives it off to Tapula. Sonny Tapula. He's got over the line next to the posts. Referee checks left. Referee checks right and says it's a try.
Try to Sonny Tapula.
We've seen it coming.
Score now. Sharks 4. Warriors 6 with a kick to come.
It's been threatening all afternoon, this Belconnen United side, and they have delivered. And that is a reward for sustained pressure, I think. We can just say that they just kept it going and kept it going. They didn't let their heads drop when they conceded a try, about 20 minutes ago? And they've managed to strike back with half-time not too far away. I think they'd be liking another one before the break if they can, because they are going to be running into a very stiff breeze in the second half. But that's a good try to Sonny Tapula. As we wait for the conversion attempt, it's not going to be terribly hard. And he's
number 5, Andrew McDonald.
So Andrew McDonald, his 14th goal for the season.
Here at Shark Park.
Andrew McDonald's 14th goal for the season. Ties it all up at 6 points apiece, and puts the ball into the traffic on MacArthur Avenue as well, just for good measure. But we're all tied up again, 6 points apiece, and we restart. And it's Jordan Crane who fielded the restart. And then it's Sonny Tapula, the try scorer. Confidence is high for him, and he's made 15 metres in the tackle there before finally being brought to ground by Riley Thomas. And it might have been Ryan McQueen. It was Ryan McQueen, the other tackler in there. And now they haven't got back the... Oh, no. Has he called that a forward pass? He has called it a forward pass. For a second there, I thought it was the Warriors weren't back the 10, but it's the other way around. It was a forward pass, and it'll be the Warriors to feed the scrum. Now, where's the clock? Players in front of it. We'll just wait for them to move. There we go. So we've got 5:55 remaining before the break. And we've seen the Warriors do this a lot this season. Those conceded points, they strike back very, very quickly. And there's one of their offensive weapons to do that as well. Daniel Killick-Moran. Offensive weapons as opposed to offensive weapon, I suppose. Livingston Affa now. When your brain thinks one thing and your mouth says, no, I'm going to say something else. And Killick-Moran again. So that's, I think, all 3 tackles that he's been involved in here. He is a real workhorse. They're across to the right. Now it's Lockhead again. They keep going. They find it to Litster. Litster is brought to ground. That's great work by Tino Sione. Try-saving tackle. The threat not completely defused. McQueen shapes to kick, dummies, and he's put the ball down. He's lost it. It's been picked up by the Sharks, and they're going to get back in the field of play here. Well, that was dangerous, dangerous stuff, but the West Belconnen Warriors are their own worst enemy across the course of this afternoon so far. And the Sharks, well, they just need to take advantage of it. They've had plenty of possession. But as yet, they've only been able to turn it into 1 try. I think that was Aidan Greenwood on there. A man who'd be very familiar with how the West Belconnen Warriors play. There's Aidan Greenwood and Andrew McDonald, 2 former West Belconnen Warriors players, turning out for their local rivals, the Belconnen United Sharks in 2018. Kick comes from Westcott. Now Westcott was bumped after he kicked that, but we're just going to see play go on. Ball goes into touch. Now Westcott is yet to get up. Here he's with the trainers. He's up now, so he's okay. He went down, and I think deservedly. He certainly got the number of the truck that collected him after he kicked the ball. And he certainly has added something to this Belconnen United Sharks backline. I'll see if I can quiz a couple of the locals during the halftime break and get some of their thoughts. But I've been impressed with what he's brought to this side for this afternoon. Now it's going to be a feed to the West Belconnen Warriors. They're about 30 out from their own line. And there's Jacob Graham in the 14 who put a long ball off the outside of the scrum. And this Warriors side, they just keep on keeping on. Matt Campbell. And Lockhead again. Oh, his head snaps back in the tackle as he runs full tilt into a couple of Sharks, including Shannon McCaskill. Now trying to scoot through from dummy half is Graham. Gives it off to Affa. And Affa finally brought to ground. Here we go. I was talking about this before, the little and large show. You've got Affa, gives it to Graham at dummy half, the 22 to the 14, and it comes back to Graham for a second crack. Last tackle. You wouldn't imagine a high ball here. Oh, they go for the low one instead. It's picked up by Crane. He's been serviceable down this left wing this afternoon for the Sharks. Had a couple of chances to potentially score tries, but the ball didn't quite get to him in the right place. Oh, that's a nice little piece of work there. Tomoko, I think it is. He's had a couple of good runs as well. This has been a great game. I'm really enjoying it. Now Hamad. Easy to pick him with the head band as opposed to the head gear. 10 short of halfway. Now they come across to the left. It's McCaskill again. He's the captain for the Sharkies. Yep, just double checking that. Tino Sione back on the inside, finds Butts. Butts almost into the gap. And a high tackle. Now please tell me that was the high tackle on Butts that was pointed out at Jacob Graham. Please tell me it was the littlest man on the field who's just managed a high tackle on a guy about 1.5 foot taller than him. It was. Love rugby league. I love rugby league. You never know what you're going to see. Every week you get something different. I would suspect that Jacob Graham doesn't get called for too many high tackles. Now there's 90 seconds till the break. So the Sharks, you'd imagine, if anyone's going to go in front here, it'll be the Sharks. They're deep in attacking territory. To Tapula. He's got one already this afternoon. He hustles and bustles and he's brought down only a couple of metres short. They're right in front of the post. Across to the left. To the right, rather. Westcott. Butts has to juggle. Gets one across the chops. Just a duck underneath the outstretched arm of Harry Brown. They'll bring it. No, they'll keep going across to the far side through Vaughan. They've gone about as far as they can to the right. They've got to come back to the left. They give it to Greenwood. Greenwood turns around, finds support. Now it comes to McCaskill. McCaskill goes across to Sione. And Sione's brought to ground. Last tackle. If they can get a repeat set here, they don't worry about going for the repeat set. They give it to Tapula. Tapula goes for the line. And he's just short. Oh! Would have been an amazing double for Sonny Tapula. I don't know if he's ever scored a double in a game before. And he was only inches short of doing so there. 28 seconds remaining. This Warriors side, they can craft a try from anything and from anywhere, but to see that happen from inside their own 10 with 28 seconds remaining, well, that would be one for the highlight reel, and they just might do it as Harry Brown goes. He puts it off the outside. He's found over the far side of the ground is Campbell. Campbell puts the kick in. It's been picked up by Riley Thomas, and oh my goodness, just call me Chris Stradamus. I've seen it all. I have seen it all. They can score from anywhere at any time, and they've done it to go into the break with a lead. Length of the field stuff in 28 seconds.
Try to the Warriors right on half time. Score now 10-6. Kick to come.
Well, what else can you say about that? I just wonder whether the Sharkies had thought, well, there's no time left till the break, and potentially maybe just dozed off for a second, and you cannot afford to do that. You just cannot afford to do that. Right on. It was literally 39 minutes and 59 seconds gone in the first half when Riley Thomas put that ball down. And so not only is it a try, but this will be, unless the ground opens up and swallows him, this will be a converted try right on the break, and indeed it is.
Conversion successful for number 5, Matt Campbell from the Warriors. They take the lead into half-time, 12 points to 6, ladies and gentlemen.
So
one of the best halves of football you'll
Matt
see
Campbell with his second conversion for the day. It's tries to Joe Roberts and Riley Thomas in the first half for the West Belconnen Warriors. And for the Sharkies, it was a try to Sonny Tapula and a conversion to Andrew McDonald, and 39 minutes and 30 seconds of football where they gave themselves every chance. And the last 30 seconds of that first half, it came a little bit undone. But at the break here in the Osbrokers Canberra Raiders Cup, it is 12 points to 6 in favour of the Warriors over the Sharks. We'll take a short break and give you some of the pictures of the park during the break, and we'll come back with the second half soon here on Bar TV.
Thank you. I'm good, thanks. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Hey?
Here comes the Sharkies back in the second half. Down 6 points. More required, same as the first half. Sharkies 6, Warriors 12.
Well, welcome back to O'Connor Enclosed Oval for the second half of our Bar TV match of the round in the Austbrokers Canberra Raiders Cup for 2018 for round 8. Had a couple of quick conversations during the halftime break. One thing I can tell you for sure is that Toby Westcott rave reviews from the Belconnen United Sharks fans. They're very, very impressed with their new recruit, and I think if they can hang on to him for a couple of seasons, there'll be players lining up to join this club to play with him. So it could be the birth of some very exciting times for the Sharks. So that's one thing. The other conversation from a number of people I've spoken to, that possibly the most entertaining half of football we've seen so far this year in the Canberra Raiders Cup was the first 40 minutes of this game. So let's hope that this match can continue to reach that level in the second half, whereas the visitors, the best Belconnen Warriors, 12 up over the Belconnen United Sharks, 6 at the moment, and plenty to come. That's a good little ball away to Vita Roha Tunavai. I haven't seen much of him thus far this afternoon. I think he's been on the far side of the field. Now he gives Toby Westcott a hand after sending him over the top in the tackle. Gee, this guy makes a difference when he comes on for the Warriors. Does little number 14, Jacob Graham. Now it's Bailey Lockhead again. And Lockhead actually pushed back in the tackle. Referee calls held eventually. He plays the ball. Graham, and again in a dummy half. He finds Ryan McQueen. McQueen's got support on the outside. Comes back on the inside to Will Salvestrin, but there's a forward pass in there. And the Sharks can breathe a sigh of relief. They've certainly got themselves out of jail and potentially a very deep hole off the back of that one. Now, Will Salvestrin, I promised you a couple of times I'd give you the story, so let's give you the story before we get too deep into this second half. He's out there for number 2, wearing the number 2 jersey on the far wing for the West Belconnen Warriors this afternoon. Now, he is not new to the club. He's been with the club for quite some time and indeed has played first grade before. One game of first grade, and that was in 2013. It is now, yes, 2018. So 5 years between drinks for him, and let's hope that it's not the last we get to see of him out there for the West Belconnen Warriors. But at least he's managed to stay in top grade or return to the top grade for, if nothing else, the second cup of coffee. To use a Major League Baseball expression, he gets another crack at it this afternoon. So congratulations to Will Salvestrin for making his return to first grade for the West Belconnen Warriors. Now, I'm also thinking he wasn't with West Belconnen for the whole 5 years. I think he went away, played in the George Took Shield as well, possibly. But for that, I'd actually have to go and dig into the research, and quite frankly, my hands are too cold to operate the computer this afternoon. So feel free, there's plenty of player data on the CRRL website. You can check it all out, or we'll talk about him at another stage during the course of the season. But let's get back into the action now as the Sharks have it. And they make ground into opposition territory. And that was Brandon Nangati who was making the ground. Now we see it in the 12. It's Greenwood. Greenwood has on his inside the very dangerous Toby Westcott. Westcott brought to ground. Could have got up and gone again, but I think he thought the players who were in defence were closer and decided safety first. Now it's Butts in the headgear. He finds Tapula. Tapula runs around behind a couple of his own players. He'd be better to go to ground there. I appreciate players can't really disappear and become invisible, but the dangers of getting an offside call there, he did the smart thing. Now, for the Warriors, it's taken by Campbell, and Campbell runs infield before he's brought to ground only about 10 metres out from his own line. So this Warriors side just seemed to be given a little bit more attacking free rein by their coach Troy Thompson thus far the second half. I appreciate we're only about 3.5 minutes in, but they do seem to be running it a bit more and throwing the ball around just a smidgen more as well. That was Lockhead on that run. Now Affa Livingston Affa, I should say. They're across to the left. Kick comes from right on halfway from Ryan McQueen. Now, what can Andrew McDonald do? Well, he'll run at a couple of his former teammates and he'll be brought to ground eventually, pushed back a few metres. Would not have tickled, and he gets a little bit of a rub on the back as well from Tavita Aroha Tunavai as well. Sharks trying to make the ball around the outside. They had plenty of meterage straight up the guts during the first half, and I'd like to see them continue that. They don't need to change a lot, this Sharks side. They just need, like I said, what they really need are additional options in the last 10 metres of the field. They get up to halfway with Tomoko. Tomoko's offloaded in there to Hamad, but I think there may have been a little bit of a knock forward in there, and indeed there was, says the referee. So it'll be the Warriors to come up with the ball right on halfway. So the Sharks don't need to change a lot during this second half. Update on the weather conditions. The latest temperature I have. I might see if I actually get an update on that, because that's still about half an hour old. I'll see if we can actually get an update on that. To say that it is absolutely freezing here is no understatement. It is largely the wind that is doing that to us. And yeah, we now have an official 11 degrees. So we've lost about a degree since the game started. Wind chill making it feel like 7 and a bit. And the wind has picked up. It is averaging 33 kilometres an hour, but it's blowing, it's averaging 30 kilometres an hour and gusting to 33, so it's just blowing constantly from the south, and that is why it feels so cold here at O'Connor Oval. And from the south is that the West Belconnen Warriors back. And that's the big back of Daniel Killick Moran. Wind assisted. If he's not big enough and fast enough already. Graham comes into dummy half, has Affa on his outside, elects not to use him, goes to ground himself. That's Brown. This is the last tackle. Kick comes through from McQueen, and it's grubbered, and the Sharks come away with it. They're very close to their own in-goal area. They bring it out. Good stuff for the Sharks. They're just going to work it up the middle here. Starting to get very grey here. Yeah, that's just what we'd need, a bit of rain. That'd add absolutely nothing to the course of the afternoon. Oh, this is a good bit of work there. I think that's McDonald again. No, it's actually Greenwood. It's the other one. Now it's Hamad. Hamad still going. The other one, I mean the other ex-West Belconnen Warriors player. Now it's to Westcott. Westcott, low kick. Well taken by Campbell. Hardly had to break stride. 3 Sharks to bring into ground. It was 3, 5 and 7. Vaughan, McDonald and Westcott, the prime number club. And now the Sharks make it up. So the Warriors make it up to about 10 short of halfway through. Jackson Duffy, he had a horror start to the game, but he's done a lot better since. He's a hard man to stop, is Affa. The 22. He's into opposition territory now. On the outside was Aroha Tunavai, but elected not to use him. Graham going himself instead. Now Brown in a dummy half to Lockhead. Hit hard by Brown and Baker. Runner Baker in 15. Who else was in there? Tapula was in there. Tapula down on the flat of his back. Oh, ouch. That Butts it was. He was hit hard. Let it affect him. That's McCaskill. A lot of congestion in the middle of this field here at O'Connor, and it is definitely getting darker here in the last few minutes. Winter sport, day 2 of winter here in the nation's capital, and the weather has arrived. It would not surprise me if we got a little bit wet during the course of the remainder of this game. Westcott with a kick. He goes high this time because there's nobody home for West Belconnen. It bounces back over the head of Campbell. He turns around and takes it. Or he's brought to ground now a couple of the Sharks defenders. Vaughan and McDonald again. They were trying to push him towards the sideline, but he managed to go to ground. Duffy offloads, finds it across to Shaw. Shaw has support on the other side. And trying to make his way through a sea of Sharks defenders was Daniel Killick-Moran. Shaw again and Lockhead. We got a whistle. A whistle for either a strip or an attempted strip. Either way, we've got the ball over the sideline for the Warriors on the penalty on the touch finder, and they'll start their attacking set from about 10 into Sharks territory. 6 points the difference. I don't think too many people would have said that'd be the likely scoreline prior to this game getting underway at this stage of proceedings. 9 minutes into the second break, into the second period. And it's Bailey Lockhead again. Injects himself into the play a lot, does Lockhead. Managed to find the pass away to once again to Shaw. Now working their way through the rest of the forwards, the Warriors, with Dustin Litster. Little scampering run again from dummy half to Jacob Graham. It's a difficult man to tackle. They get hold of him, and he's taking time and effort to bring to ground. Harry Brown, now he finds Jackson Duffy. Duffy's put the ball outside, but McDonald's taken it like a slips fielder. And it's the Sharks who've got the ball. Now what can they do with it? Well, not a great deal. They can make a few metres up the middle of the park. I just think maybe one more pass off the ruck just to make it a little bit harder to stretch that West Belconnen Warriors defensive line. Cyril Crane, and they've done it this time, but the Warriors have actually managed to slide across. It's going to get really tough for this Shark side as the afternoon goes on now. They are running into a very, very stiff breeze, but they've got around the outside. And too far around the outside, in fact, and dragged into touch on the other side of the ground. So it'll be the Warriors will come up with the ball about 10 short of halfway. Low-scoring game. Has not been a dour, grinding affair. There's been plenty of flashy football this afternoon. We've seen a length of the field try. We've seen plenty of intercepts. We've seen plenty of fancy footwork. And you'd be a brave man to say you know who was going to win from here this afternoon. The Warriors way forward through Nella Moa. Options on the outside. Oh, the air expelled from the lungs of the Sharks tackler there. Now they go to Aroha Tunavai. He's got his man on his outside is Campbell. Question on the pass from where I'm sitting. May have been a little bit forward, but probably just flat. Matt Campbell takes a bit of time to get up. Aroha Tunavai again. Sharks going high and low to try to bring him to ground, and they do so eventually. The last man in was Greenwood, finally putting him away. Now it's Harry Brown. Brown comes across to Mitch Shaw. Shaw turns it around, passes it back to Harry Brown again. With their hands on that? No, there weren't. Ryan McQueen. McQueen finds Litster. He's still going. He's able to get the ball away. This is a long play here coming from West Belconnen. Now it's McQueen. McQueen's given it across. I think that might be Lockhead again involved, was it? That was the other big fella. It's Daniel Killick-Moran. On the 11, it's Lister over the far side. A big tackle, and it was the last, so the Sharks will have the ball for a turnover here. So just repeating the, in case you've only joined us for the second half here, we call it O'Connor Oval from a table on the sideline, and there's quite a drop-off between the sideline itself and where we are. As I said before, I'm only sitting at a card table, and my feet would be about 18 inches below field level, so we really are watching from player knee height, and when we get a bit further away on that far side of the ground, sometimes all we can see is a sea of legs and try and pick out who the player is, but there's no mistaking Tino Sione, the big boys for the Belconnen United Sharks side, and he's taken the ball once again over the halfway line. Westcott with a kick over the top. Now, who's going to be onto this? Pardon me. Well, he's managed to kick it through himself, has Westcott. It's going for the advantage of James Butts. If he can get the ball down, it'll be a try. And not just a try, a great try for the Sharks. And this will tie it up, you would imagine. That's a great try. Toby Westcott, we said earlier, he's made a huge difference to this team. And he set that one up for James Butts. Magic Rugby League.
Sharkies 10, Warriors 12.
You'd have to go a long way to see a better try than that. Reminiscent of, Canberra Raiders fans will remember this bloke, reminiscent of, and I was only watching a video of it actually the other day, Brett Mullins against the Newcastle Knights, and I think it was at GIO Stadium. Mullins put the kick through to his own advantage, and he kicked it again. The only thing was, and I'm trying to remember here, I think Mullins may have actually scored the try himself on that occasion. This time it was Toby Westcott with the kick and the follow-up kick, and James Butts was able to do the finishing. 25 and a bit remaining in this game. And the scores, I would imagine, are about to be all locked up. We'll wait for it as Andrew McDonald is in with the conversion, and he's kicked it. And I did say earlier whether I suspected there was any rain coming, and there are now a few drops falling.
Here come the Sharkies.
So we've had absolutely everything here this afternoon, except for warmth. We've seen two remarkable tries here today as well, and there is nothing between these two teams. What's the next 25 minutes got for us? I'll tell you the other thing. All four tries this afternoon have been under or at least adjacent to the posts. You don't see that too often. And now the Sharks have got a penalty. Oh, their tails are up. They've got a penalty. They're going to be able to get the ball from inside their own part of the field, well inside their own territory. They might only get about 10, 15 at best out of this kick. It really is. You can see it curve away in the air. Now, I've got to admit, I was looking down there and I've just seen a second penalty. I'm not sure what it was for. It may have been for a little bit of back chat. I'd be guessing, so I won't guess. I'll just say I was looking down at the minute, making a quick note for the post-game summary with the penalty. Wasn't expecting a secondary penalty, but we saw what happened there. And so now the Sharks, with momentum, their tails up, they've scored a try, and they've had back-to-back penalties. So what have they got? Well, they've got Shannon McCaskill, a captain's try this afternoon, and this place will go absolutely berserk. He scored a couple this season. I'm just wondering what the atmosphere is going to be like here if the Sharks take the lead, and if indeed it'll be the crowd that'll lift the lid off the place, or it'll be the wind doing that, because the wind is blowing the little marquee we're sitting under quite ferociously at the moment as well. Let's get back into it now with Westcott. Certainly close to man of the match thus far. Last tackle. What have they got? Well, they go to one of the big boys. That was Tapula. Tapula with the kick. Target was BJ Sione. Ball's gone back into the in-goal area, and the Sharks, look at that for devotion and dedication. Oh, no mucking around here. The home side, they can sniff an upset. 22:40 left on the game clock. 12 points apiece. Just quietly, Sharkies, you're going to want someone back on about the 65-metre line here. You're going to need someone back, and it's James Butts has realised that he needed to get back. Oh, well taken. That's Westcott again. He's going like a rocket, and he's taken that now. Rana Baker. I heard the collision of two bodies there as he came chest to chest with Shaw. Now it's McCaskill. He's about 30 out. Across to the left, Jason Brown. If you can compare again to an arm wrestle, just at the moment you'd think it's the Sharks who've got the momentum. They've gone around the outside. Now, who's that over the far side? Is that Jordan Crane? It is Jordan Crane. They've scored that from nothing.
Fantastic ball, and finished off by number 2, Jordan Crane in the corner. Sharks take the lead first time today, 16 points to 12 kick to come.
So Jordan Crane his third try for season 2018 in the Canberra Raiders Cup. And he gives his side the lead over their rivals. I will take a stab that this will not be an easy conversion. It's going to be from right over on the junction, on the far side of the ground. We've seen lots of work from this forward pack from the Sharks this afternoon. And, well, that's really traditional rugby league. After you see a lot of work from the forwards, you're starting to see the backs come into their own. And way over there on the far side, Jordan Crane. I've seen him play a few games. He's certainly, from what I've seen, one of the more consistent players in this Belconnen United Sharks side. Obviously loves the club. And getting just reward for that with a try that puts his side in front. Now, what have you got, Andrew McDonald? He's a pretty decent goal kicker, this bloke. But a left footer from the left touchline into a 30-kilometre-an-hour breeze is always going to be a difficult task. And the conversion is missed. But the Sharks are leading 16 points to 12, and there's 20 minutes remaining. So we're into the last quarter of the game. Last quarter of the game. And suddenly, it's the much more fancied of the two sides that has it all to do. And look at the speed there. Was that Baker again? It was. He was really motoring. As is Greenwood. He'd love to win here. He would really enjoy that. There's something about getting one over your old side. And now Brown. And we've got a penalty. Elbow. Leading with the elbow. It's a penalty going the other way. I heard the whistle. I didn't see the arm initially go up. But he's... goes to the Warriors. It's Harry Watman with the first tackle. To the left with Lockhead. Lockhead bounces out and back into the tackle. Played by Baker and Greenwood. Really important for the Sharks that they hold out the Warriors on this set. They've only just got the lead. They don't want to give it up straight away. I mean, they wouldn't want to give it up at all, but they wouldn't want to give it straight back. That's a coach killer, that kind of stuff. Ball goes through the hands of Shaw, then on to Roberts. Roberts is offloaded to someone in there. I've got no idea who it is. But they have indeed given the lead straight back.
Try to the Warriors. Hit 16 points. All kick to count.
I can't pick who it was who scored that try in there. That is about the hardest part for us to see. We'll get that confirmed in a couple of minutes though for you. We will have that there. But it is now 16 points apiece. So after taking the lead, they were only able to hold on to it for a grand total of about, I'd reckon, 2.5 minutes. It's no gimme, but it's not the hardest of conversions coming up for Matt Campbell. He's not far to the side of the uprights. He's just got to really put it up there and in the general direction, and the wind will do the rest. And that does indeed happen. And that ball lands somewhere in the vicinity of Gungahlin that's just absolutely been blown a million miles away. Well, I can't say much about the decision that led to the penalty, but it did certainly work in the advantage of the Warriors. And now they have an 18-16 lead. But this game has a long way to go. And 2 points, I don't think anyone would say that was a safe margin. But they've got numbers here. Lockhead, oh, he's brought to ground. Right in front of where we're sitting at a table. Going across through Aroha Tunavai. Gets up over the halfway stripe. 10 metres into opposition territory, and that's only the second tackle. They're making ground at will at the moment, the Warriors. Shaw looked for someone, looked for anyone. Couldn't pass it off. Is that rain getting harder? It is the rain getting harder. We'll find out how watertight our surroundings are in a few minutes. Shaw, he's got it. He's really done a lot of work this second half. Now it's with Harry Brown. Brown with a little kick through, but it's picked up, well picked up by Trent Vaughan. That was good work. So the Sharks, they don't need to panic. And to their credit, thus far today, they haven't. They've really just got in there, played good, solid footy. There's a break on here. If he can get support, Tomoko will be setting up a try, but he's just brought to ground 10 metres into opposite territory. They want to get off him and let him play the ball quickly. Now it goes to Westcott. Westcott across the field finds Greenwood. Greenwood decides to straighten up and run. He runs hard into a wall of Warriors. 35 out. They go across to the right. Westcott again. Kick over the top. There's nobody back there. Duffy will come across. He picks it up. He goes. Well, I think he's gone dead in goal, really. So the Sharks are going to get another crack at this. I'm not sure if we actually had any confirmation of who actually scored that last try for the Warriors. We still don't have that. We will get it for you, I promise, before the end of the afternoon. On the short side. Westcott feeds the scrum. Picked up off the back of the scrum by Reese. A couple of long balls, and now it's over with Tomoko. Tomoko still going. 3 metres out, is he? Thereabouts. They're way over the far side of the ground. They've got numbers. They give it to one of the big numbers in Tino Sione. Sione gives it to BJ Sione. BJ's pushing for the line and pushing and pushing. He's brought to ground and he's lost the ball. My apologies, I may have given you the wrong name there. It was Tapula, not Sione, wasn't it? Yeah. We've got wind, we've got rain. It's getting darker. I'm now wondering how waterproof my electronic gear is. And should have brought an umbrella. So, what have we got? 13 remaining. I reckon we'll get away with it for about 13 minutes if it rains, but I don't want to be under here for much longer. So the Warriors, well, they picked up another penalty. High tackle. So I'll make a few metres here because McQueen's got a good kick on him. About 10 short of halfway. That's with Litster. Just working away across the field. They'll just poke and prod here and look for a gap in the Sharks' defence. Jack Elliott, one of the tacklers. Last man up. They go again. So work it across to the outside. There's Killick Moran. And Shaw. They find Watman. So Watman gets over the halfway line. Something else that I've really liked about this game, and I'll come to it in a minute. Just wait and see how this set pans out first for the Warriors. Come across to the left. McQueen. They've got Aroha Tunavai. He's saying go high and go long. So be prepared for the high crossfield bomb here. Let's see if that's what eventuates. Brown does precisely that. Now he's got Tunavai. He's got Matt Campbell, but it's been fielded by the Sharks and pushed back into their in-goal area. So they'll have to get the ball back into the field of play. What I was going to say that I've really liked about this afternoon, and it's only just dawned on me, I've seen a lot of this in the Canberra Cup in recent seasons where there's been players trying to tell the referee what to do and calling for penalties and asking for them repeatedly. And today, both sides hardly seen it. And I think that is very much to the credit of these sides. They've come here to play footy. They've got on with the job. And let's hope we get a bit more of that in this Ospreyers Canberra Raiders Cup before the end of the season. That's a knock on. Oh, no, he's just managed to get hold of it. As Nella Moa. Would have been a knock on, but he's managed to get his hand back on it. So, Warriors, well, as you can see there, able to start a set at very short range because of the wind on the line dropping. Now they've lost this and it's been picked up in there by the Sharks. So tackle count starts for them, about 20 out. Oh, was that Greenwood? I think it was. It's very hard to tell from here. Now the ball's come free. Ball's come free, and I think the referee's ruled it a loose carry. If he's called it a loose carry, then the ball is going to be fed into a scrum by the West Belconnen Warriors. Again, I can't make any comment. I didn't see how the ball came loose. There was a pack of players, and suddenly there was a ball out the back. It's the Warriors who get the next chance to take the lead, to extend their lead, and they've gone around the outside with Duffy. Duffy pops the ball out the back to Campbell. As the rain gets heavier, Campbell brought to ground just inside the field of play. They come across to the right. Now it's with Araha Tunavai, still going, pops one out the back. Little no-look pass to Bailey Lockhead. Lockhead onto Matt Kelly, and the ball goes free. So, I think I heard 4 people in earshot say that was justice. So plenty of Sharks fans not happy with the call about how the Warriors wound up with the ball, but it'll be a Sharkies ball and a scrum about 20 out from their own line. What have we got? 9.5 remaining in this game. Scoreboard on the far side of the ground. It's not a big scoreboard, and it's not normally a bright standout feature, but it's the brightest thing for about 10 miles around here. The red lights on it absolutely standing out. It's dark, it's cold, it's windy, it's wet. It's what rugby league needs from time to time. And it's the Sharks now with, I think it's again Greenwood. He's really been busy in the second 40. Go across to the left. There's Westcott. Now he's got support from his big boys there. Is that Tapula in there? It's BJ. Gee, they're hard to pick apart when they tackled at speed. Now that's Butts. Butts again over the halfway line. They come back across to the right. Westcott goes high. Interesting tactic. Duffy's underneath it. He's done well to take it, turn around and put it into the hands of, I think it's Sylvestrin over the far side. What have we got? 8.5 remaining. 2 points the difference. What would you do with a penalty from directly in front at this stage? Would you take the 2 for the draw? I've got to get the ball first. Let's see what they can do. Across to the far side once again. Ryan McQueen getting involved once again. Oh! Now, is that Aroha Tunavai or is it Nella Moa? It's Moa who's gone down. I can tell you that by the green boots. He's absolutely smashed. So one of the big Sione boys, Tino. Well, it's a contact sport, and that was most certainly contact. The Warriors, well, they come back at it again. Mitch Shaw through hands. Now it's with Watman, but the referee's saying, let's go back again and have another go at this. That's a interesting gridiron pass thing. All right, we're back into it. So it's Nella Moa, no ill effects from the big bump. 35 out if you're wondering. Now they come across to the left. Waiting for it there was Daniel Killick-Moran. They couldn't get it to him. So he drops back. He's on the right. Do they go to him? No. They go to McQueen. McQueen still going. He's still got Killick-Moran there. And he's still calling for it as Daniel Killick-Moran. Now they give it to him. And he pushes it towards the post. He pops it out the back. Finds Roberts. Roberts. He's bounced out of one. Is he covered in Vaseline? They couldn't get a grip on him. They finally bring into ground. McQueen again, long ball. I think it might have been Litzner in there. Litzner puts the kick through and has been brought out once again by the Sharks, so they live to fight another day. 2 the difference, 6.5 remaining here on the Bar TV match of the round. Brought to you by Bloomers Lawyers, and thanks to Bloomers for their support in the Osbrokers Canberra Raiders Cup for 2018. Oh, the Sharks, they work it out from their own end. Starting to see a few players putting their hands up, trying to talk to the referee. We haven't seen it for the first 74 of this game. Let's just see some more footy, boys. Let's just see some more. Now it's Reese, Logan Reese. 9 on 9. Numbers on the jerseys, that is. Tackling each other there, just short of halfway. Westcott drops the ball. It's gone back, and it's been called that. Absolutely. Good call by the referee. Westcott goes for the kick. A little chip. Picked up by McQueen. McQueen sends it back to one of his supporting players for the Warriors. The Warriors have got the ball. That's Joe Roberts. And Bailey Lockhead. Who's going to break first? Can the Warriors hold on to their lead? Will the Sharks pull a rabbit out of that in the last couple of minutes? We're up for the grandstand finish, that's for sure. Roberts, he's been busy. Mitch Shaw, probably pretty close to my man of the match, I think, for the West Belconnen Warriors. He's been pretty good all afternoon, very consistent and really busy when the game has counted, when the second half has been on the line. Of course, if it goes the other way, then it'll be Westcott. So I think we sort of narrowed it down to those two for mine. We'll wait and see. Of course, you get the official man of the match video a little bit later on the Bar TV video. So keep an eye on that. And of course, a prize $50 voucher for the Raiders group of clubs for our man of the match each week on the Bar TV games here of the Canberra Raiders Cup. Now that's Harry Brown, puts the kick into the far corner. Who's he got? He's got Matt Campbell coming. I've got absolutely no idea what's happened there. I've got about 9 people standing in front of me. Someone's been absolutely belted, but the Sharks have got it. 4.5 left. They need to go the length of the field. They need to really have just a bit of possession here. So what can they do? Well, they come across to the right. Now back to into the left was Greenwood. I think of one of the big boys. This time it's Tapula. Sonny Tapula makes it just short of halfway. They're on the last tackle. So they need something special. Westcott's had something special for them, and he's passed off the ground there. Held was called. That was Butts, and he was called held before he offloaded. Points for trying something different and not going for the straight kick option. But now we're down to the last 4 minutes, and they've lost the ball. Well, this is the chance. This is the chance that the Sharkies will be looking for. Got to say, I'm just finding it a little bit hard to read my my game notes at this point. The ink I use is, I'm discovering now, not waterproof. We'll see how we go. So, well, the Sharks have got the ball. Here's the equation. 3 minutes and 10 seconds left on the game clock now. So that's what they've got, 190 seconds to score. What can they do? Oh, they put the ball back behind Tino Sione. He's picked it up. Now, the thing is, there's a lot of Warriors have come up, so he's got a chance to make some meterage. He gets up over the 40, brought down about 35. So in the end, that could have been a horrible, horrible set for the Sharks, but they've still got chances here. Westcott goes to his right, finds BJ Sione. BJ still going. Ball stripped out of his hands. Referee says it's okay. Must have been 1-on-1. So the Sharks lose the ball. The Warriors have got it with 2.5 left on the clock. The Sharks should get one more crack at it. Let's not take that as guaranteed, but they should. And the ball's gone to ground now. What's he going to call? And now he's calling it a strip, and that'll be a penalty to the Warriors. Well, this game, grandstand finish in the offing, but we're just not getting it quite across the line the way we would like it. So Robertson, he's going to take as much time as he's allowed. Doesn't go for the touch finder. Hangs onto the ball instead. Gives it to big Daniel Killick-Moran. And Moran just runs straight up the middle. That's all the Warriors have got to do. Hang on to the ball, run it up the middle, and then kick it at the end of this set. And you'd think that'll be enough for them. That's Aroha Tunavai, I think it was. Now they come across to the left and give it to Affa. Livingston Affa now, he's lost the ball. And he has lost it forward. So, 100 seconds left. 1 minute 40. Scrum's got to be packed. Sharks have got there. Warriors are going to take forever. We might get a clock stoppage here. We'll keep an eye on the ref. Sharks not actually packing the scrum here. They've got to actually just pack together. They're waiting for the Warriors to get in position. Well, I suppose in the end it's not going to make a huge difference. They're going to get one set. So they may as well make sure they're all set for it. And they give it to Westcott. Westcott goes on his outside. Who's he got? They had a couple of options. They had McDonald free in space, but they couldn't get it across to him. It's a good effort by Vaughan to try and do it. Now it's with Greenwood. Second tackle. 52 seconds left. They give it to Elliott. Elliott makes it 42 metres out. That's the third. They continue across to the left. They need someone to make a big run. This is the fourth. 35 seconds. Well, they're only going to get one crack at this. What have they got? The kick comes from, I think it was Tapula. And it's been dived on by Jackson Duffy. And barring some sort of brain snap, that will be all she wrote for this afternoon. 20 seconds remaining. And the Warriors, they've got the ball. They've got themselves out of jail here. They're going to take forever to play this. There'll be one more play after it. They give it to the big man. I think it might be Killick Moran over there in the far corner. He's brought to ground. It's got very dark here as in the last 15 minutes of the game. And the ball goes over the far side. And the siren sounds in the background. And after an absolute epic this afternoon, it is the West Belconnen Warriors who run it on top by 18 points to 16.
Great games of rugby league we've seen here at Shark Park in the last couple of years. Great effort by the Sharks.
That was a truly entertaining game of football. You've just got to wonder.
Next week, we're up against the Woden Valley Rams here on Saturday, the 9th of June. We'll see you all here. A much improved first grade effort on reserve grade going down 28 points to nil. The girls going down 28 points to nil in the reserve grade. The Warriors also victorious. Go home, get dry, and thank you very much for Bar TV for being here today.
And you hear Kane, the ground announcer, giving us a bit of a thank you. And thanks for your company this afternoon too, by the way, Kane. You've just got to wonder, that 30 seconds before half-time, how much difference, how much impact did that have on the second half? I don't think initially it had too much of an impact. I think that the Sharks came out and played good footy. They won the second half. They scored 2 tries, one of which was converted. Warriors only scored 1. 18 points to 16, the final wrap-up there. This game's been played in great spirit during the course of this afternoon. It has also been played in great style this afternoon. And I sincerely hope that the Sharks are able to hang on to Toby Westcott. I hope they've been able to sign him not just for this year. I hope they've signed him for a couple of seasons, because I suspect that there are plenty of players around this competition who would like to line up and have a go at playing alongside of Toby Westcott. And had the scoreline gone the other way, he would have been our Bar TV man of the match for sure this afternoon. But it was in the end the West Belconnen Warriors who got up by 18 points to 16 on a cold, eventually wet afternoon here at O'Connor Enclosed Oval. Next week we've got the Queanbeyan Blues. Who are they up against, John? Queanbeyan Blues versus Tuggeranong. That'll be at Seaford Oval. We'll catch up with you then on Bar TV. But thank you to the Sharks and to the Warriors for putting on a most entertaining game of football this afternoon. Thank you for your company, and thank you to our major sponsors, Osbrokers, and our good friends at Bloomers Personal Injury Lawyers. You'll be able to catch the Raiders group of clubs man of the match interview on Bar TV shortly. But wrapping it up now from O'Connor Enclosed Oval on behalf of everyone at the CRRL, this is Chris Coleman. Thank you for your company this afternoon.
Trent Lister, if you're at the ground still, could you please come to the announcer's desk? Trent Lister.